My name is Ethan Miller. I'm what you might call a retired but still on the clock paranormal expert, a living relic who's seen more centuries than most history books. Back in the day, my job was saving the world. Now, it's mostly saving my ramen noodles. I used to go toe-to-toe with archdemons and take down ghost lords. These days, I get a knot in my stomach if the price of my monthly transit pass goes up. Times change, and I guess I have to change with them. The last guy who came to me for a reading wanted to know when he'd hit it big. I took one look at his aura. It was so barren it made his bald spot look lush, and told him honestly, the minute I get rich, I'll Venmo you $50 so you can at least feel a little blessed. He still gave me a 1-star review. Now, I've got a big gig. A karaoke bar is haunted, and the client is some self-made millionaire, a guy named Richard Hayes. Everyone just calls him Rick. Rick told me if I could fix it, money was no object. I took one look at his diamond-studded watch and thick gold pinky ring, and I knew my ramen's best friend, a hot dog, was getting a double feature tonight. Turns out, I wasn't the only expert on site. There was another guy, an old man in a flowing robe, holding a wooden sword, looking all sage-like. He eyed me like a seasoned pro eyeing a rookie, or a grandmaster sizing up a casual player. I get it, I totally get it. My thrift store outfit, probably worth $50 total, didn't exactly scream master of the occult. But what they didn't get was that real skill doesn't need fancy packaging, especially not when the ghosts themselves understood performance metrics better than these clowns. Master Ethan, Rick said, his voice a greasy purr. This is it. The Grand Monarch Suite, the biggest, fanciest room at Imperial Nights. The pudgy, middle-aged guy, his guts straining against his shirt, gestured with a flourish towards the karaoke room door, which was studded with what looked suspiciously like rhinestones. This was Richard Hayes, my meal ticket. I yawned, glancing at his shiny, receding hairline. Rick, let's cut to the chase. I held up 5 fingers. This job? 500. Rick's face twitched. Beside him, the old man in the gold-embroidered robe, with his wispy goatee, let out a laugh. Young man, you don't know the rules, do you? To quote a price of 500 for a client of Mr. Hayes's stature, who are you trying to insult? The fly whisk in his hand swished with rhythmic precision. I shot him a look. Master Julian, right? I said, I'm all about value. $500, and he won't get ripped off. In my head, though, I was scoffing, yeah, right? The ghostly energy in this dump was weaker than stale coffee. Probably just some recently deceased schmo. $500 already felt like I was overcharging. Master Julian scoffed, bowing theatrically to Rick. Mr. Hayes, you see the difference between a professional and an amateur right here. I, your humble servant, will perform a full-blown ritual, summon ancient spirits, the whole works. Anything less than 50 grand is insulting. After all, such a malevolent place could diminish my spiritual power. Rick's face instantly shifted into a suck-up grin. Master, you're absolutely right. 50,000 it is. He turned to me, a hint of disdain on his face. Ethan, son, maybe you should just head home? Or stick around and assist Master Julian, learn a thing or two. I almost burst out laughing. Assist? Like I'm supposed to cheer you guys on? No way, Rick, I said. Since I'm already here, I can at least guard the door for you. $500 for a front row seat to a master ghost hunt? Sounds like a deal. I leaned against the wall, pulled out my phone, and started scrolling through TikTok. Master Julian's face darkened when he saw I wasn't playing along. He probably thought I was stealing his business. God's honest truth. With his parlor tricks, even if the job were free, I'd still wonder if it was worth getting my hands dirty. Arrogant fool. Master Julian ignored me and began his performance. He pulled a ceremonial dagger, some parchment, a small vial of red powder, and even a travel-sized incense burner from his Gucci duffel bag. Full kit, huh? Amazon bestsellers, probably. By the power of the Ancient Ones, spirits hear my call. Manifest now, he chanted, waving the wooden dagger wildly in the air. His movements were so theatrical, anyone might have thought he was just hyping up the crowd for a show. Rick, watching from the side, nodded enthusiastically, his face full of awe. Truly a master. Such presence, such flair. I kept my head down. My phone screen flashed. Hurry up, my game is timing out. This hand was a guaranteed win. Just as Master Julian was mid-pirouette, the door to the suite creaked open on its own. A gust of cold air wafted out, carrying the scent of cheap perfume. The karaoke music, which I hadn't even noticed before, had stopped. The only sound in the hallway was Master Julian's labored breathing. "It's here!" Rick yelped, startled, and ducked behind Master Julian. Sweat beaded on Master Julian's forehead, but he still tried to hold his composure. "What fiend dares to trespass? Show yourself." Slowly, a semi-transparent shadow drifted out of the room. It was a woman, wearing a skimpy cocktail dress, her makeup smeared like a clown's. Oh, right. She was a ghost now. Who's making all that noise? In the middle of the night. Can a ghost get some sleep? Her voice was raspy, like a bad hangover. Rick's legs buckled. "And Master, save me." Master Julian's hand, clutching the ceremonial dagger, trembled. "Impudent phantom. I am Julian Stone, the 108th descendant of the Jade Mountain sect. Begone now, or I shall scatter your soul." The moment he announced his grand title, I nearly dropped my phone. The Jade Mountain sect would roll over in their graves if they knew they had a 108th descendant. The female ghost floated closer to Master Julian, tilting her head as she examined him. "Jade Mountain? Never heard of it. Your outfit's quite unique, though. A theater kid." Master Julian's face turned green. He slapped a parchment talisman onto the ghost's face. "Behold my divine talisman. Begone." The talisman fluttered gently to the ground. The ghost was completely unharmed. She even reached out a translucent finger and poked Master Julian's cheek. "Old man, your props are no good. Lousy adhesive." "Act!" Master Julian shrieked, dropped his ceremonial dagger, and bolted. Usain Bolt would be jealous of his speed. Rick was completely dumbfounded. He watched his 50-grand master vanish down the hallway, then stiffly turned his head to look at the female ghost. The ghost was looking at him too, grinning. "Hey, big spender, how about another round?" "GG Ghost!" Rick's scream nearly shattered my eardrums. I slowly put my phone away and straightened up. All right, stop wailing." I walked over to Rick and patted his shoulder. "See? The 50-grand guy ran off." I gestured to myself. "Now it's time for the $500 special." I rotated my wrists, looking at the female ghost who was still flirtatiously swaying. Only one thought was in my head. $500. Quick and easy. I still need to make it home for my ramen. The ghost clearly didn't take me seriously. She floated up to me, circling me once, clicking her tongue. Well, another one. "Hey there, handsome flying solo." As she spoke, a chill seeped into my neck. Rick was already on the floor, clinging to a pillar and shivering. "And Master Ethan, you be careful." I scratched my ear. "Ma'am, you haven't been dead long, have you?" "Huh?" The ghost paused. "How did you know?" "Club dancer. Died from drinking with clients. Alcohol poisoning, mixed with some pills she shouldn't have," I said, drawing out the words. "Your professional etiquette is lacking, you know. Drinking yourself to death on the job? Your boss must be docking your pay." The ghost's face instantly went dark. "Who the hell are you talking about?" She lunged at me, 10 fingers tipped with black nail polish, aimed straight for my eyes. A cold wind whipped around us. Rick squeezed his eyes shut, letting out a shriek like a stuck pig. I didn't move a muscle. I just calmly said, "Hey, those nails are pretty good. Too bad they're so fragile." The words had barely left my lips when crack. The ghost slammed into an invisible wall about 2 feet in front of me. Then, her 10 proud acrylic nails snapped off cleanly from middle. The ghost stared at her now stumpy fingertips, frozen in a 10-second stupor. "And my $800 acrylics." I nodded. "Yeah, nail art isn't cheap. Don't go back to that salon next time. They clearly cut corners." The ghost snapped her head up, her eyes glowing green. "I'll kill you." She opened her mouth, which instantly stretched to her ears, revealing a mouthful of sharp fangs. I sighed, pulling my phone from my pocket. Right in front of her, I opened the Grubhub app. Spicy Szechuan beef, extra spicy, with a side of steamed rice. I mumbled, placing the order and paying with practiced ease. "The ghost." "Rick." The ghost's gaping mouth slowly closed. She looked a little bewildered. What are you doing?" "Ordering takeout," I said, wiggling my phone. "What else?" "If I stick around arguing with you, the Grubhub drivers will be off duty by the time I'm done." "Are you trying to humiliate me?" The ghost trembled with rage, and the lights in the hallway began to flicker wildly. "No, not at all," I said, feigning innocence. "I just think, as a ghost, could you have a little more professionalism?" Either kill me quickly, or get lost and don't interrupt my dinner. This awkward in-between is really embarrassing, you know? The ghost completely lost it. Yeah, I'll kill you. Her spectral energy surged, and the temperature in the entire karaoke bar plummeted. A thin layer of frost even formed on the walls. She transformed into a swirling mass of black mist and swept towards me. Rick had already fainted. I watched the black mist approach, still expressionless. I just murmured, "Funny, the Grubhub driver still hasn't called me yet." Just then, my phone rang. The black mist, perfectly timed, slammed into my face. I answered the call. "Hello, Mr. Miller? Your order has arrived." "Oh, it has it?" I said into the phone. "Sorry, I'm currently blocked by some big, shadowy thing, so it's a bit inconvenient to come out and get it." The Grubhub driver on the other end paused. "Huh? Shadowy thing? What's that?" I looked at the black mist, which was almost touching my nose, and raised my voice. "Just a big, dark cloud of something like an angry dumpster rolling around, refusing to move, and it's blowing cold air." The black mist stopped. Slowly, slowly, it condensed back into the shape of the female ghost right in front of me. Her expression was priceless. It morphed from savage fury to utter bewilderment, then to profound humiliation. The Grubhub driver sounded confused on the phone. "Dude, did you dial the wrong place?" "The psych ward's down the street." "Nope, got the right address," I said. "It's just this. Thing seems to understand English. I'll have a word with it." I pulled the phone away from my ear and spoke to the ghost. "Hey, dumpster, move aside. I need to grab my takeout." You. The ghost pointed at me, too furious to speak, her spectral form trembling. "You're the dumpster. Your whole family are dumpsters." "Oh, so you're not going to move?" I nodded. "All right, then." I spoke into the phone. "Hey, buddy, give me a sec." Then I hung up. As the ghost and a half-conscious Rick watched with incredulous eyes, I extended my index finger and lightly flicked the ghost's forehead. Pop! The sound was crisp and clear. The ghost froze. The black mist around her, like a punctured balloon, instantly dissipated. She rolled her eyes and floated straight down, eventually collapsing into a semi-transparent blob that rolled twice on the floor before going still. I walked over and nudged the blob with my foot. "Hey, stop playing dead." The blob quivered. A faint voice whimpered, "Be boss. I am sorry." I nodded, satisfied. Turning, I headed for the KTV exit. Rick, propped up against a pillar, watched me with an expression like he'd just seen a ghost. "And Master Ethan, is that it?" "What else?" I said, not even looking back. "My takeout's getting cold." When I came back into the karaoke lobby, takeout bag in hand, Rick was crouched on the floor, poking the curled-up ghost blob. The ghost shivered, not daring to move. "Master Ethan, you're back," Rick exclaimed, looking at me like I was his long-lost dad. He pointed at the thing on the floor. What'll we do with this?" I set the spicy Szechuan beef on a coffee table and opened the lid. The aroma filled the air. "Just chill," I said, picking up a piece of beef and blowing on it. "Huh?" Rick looked confused. "Either I exorcise her, give her a good thrashing, or she sings you a song," I said without looking up. "Your call." The ghost heard this and instantly shifted from blob form back into a person, kneeling on the floor. Boss, I pick option 3. I can sing. Don't Stop Believin'." I chuckled. "All right, what's your name?" I am Lily." "Lily, you died here. Any unfinished business?" I asked, eating my beef. Just a routine question. Lily's face crumpled. "Yes. I still have $3,000 on my credit card bill." Right? Very practical wish. "So, you're hanging around here, hoping some rich guy will pay your bill?" I pointed at Rick. Lily nodded frantically. "I just wanted to scare him a little, make him burn some fake money for me. I didn't mean to hurt anyone." I sighed. "Hear that, Rick?" I said. $3,000 for a ghost's piece. Sounds like a deal, right?" Rick didn't dare say no. "Deal. Absolutely a deal. I'll go buy the best fake money right away. A mansion, a sports car, the works for Lily." I wave a hand. "All right, skip the theatrics." I pulled a crumpled piece of parchment from my pocket, bit my fingertip, and drew a quick symbol on it. I handed it to Rick. "Find a bowl and burn this. She'll get the message." I looked at Lily. "Once you get the cash, move on to the next life. Next time, don't drink so much." Lily thanked me profusely, then transformed into a wisp of smoke and seeped into the parchment. Rick clutched the paper like it was a winning lottery ticket. Master, Master, you truly are divine. He pulled a bank card from his pocket. Master, there's $50,000 in here. It's for you, an honorarium. My eyes lit up. 50,000? I could get 2 hot dogs with my ramen every single day. I reached out to take it, but just as my fingers were about to touch the card, the entire karaoke bar suddenly shuddered. The crystal chandelier above us rattled, and dust rained down from the ceiling. An aura of dark energy, 100 times more powerful than Lily's, erupted from the deeper parts of the building. That presence reeked of malevolence and raw power. Rick's bank card clattered to the floor. The color drained from his face in an instant. Another one. My brow furrowed. Something was wrong. This presence wasn't like any ordinary lost spirit. It was more like a ghost king? How could a little karaoke bar like this conjure up something like that? A grating, cackling laugh echoed from the deep end of the hallway. A tall, shadowy figure slowly emerged. With every step, a thin layer of black ice crystallized on the floor. The temperature around us plummeted to freezing. Who dares to touch my subordinate? The shadow's voice was like 2 pieces of sandpaper rubbing together. He was a towering figure, clad in tattered, ancient-looking armor, carrying a rusty broadsword. His face was a blur of black mist, save for 2 pinpricks of crimson light. Lily, whom I'd just tucked into the parchment, was forced back out by this overwhelming power. She stared at the armored ghost in terror. Ghost King. Ghost King? Seriously? I inwardly grinned. Now, this was getting interesting. A $500 job, buy one, get one free, plus a bonus jumbo size. Rick was completely speechless, pointing at the Ghost King, looking like he was about to pass out. The Ghost King ignored Rick, his crimson gaze settling on me. You harmed my Lily. He slammed his broadsword into the floor, cracking the marble tiles. Mortal, kneel and sever your own arms. I will grant you a swift death. I finished the last of my spicy Szechuan beef, belched softly, then slowly stood up and wiped my mouth. All right, pal, what crew are you with? I asked. The Ghost King paused. I'm the Black Mountain Ghost King, ruler of 100 miles of restless spirits. He seemed quite proud of his title. Oh, Black Mountain? I nodded. So, do you know the Jersey Devil? The Ghost King. You don't. I feigned disappointment. I thought you two might be related. I took 2 steps towards him. All right, enough with the dramatics. What are you doing here? Trying to get me to burn you some fake money for your credit card bill, too. Insolent, the Ghost King roared, his voice shaking the entire lobby. A mere mortal dares to speak to me this way. He pulled his broadsword from the ground, a foul wind whipping around it, and brought it down on my head. Rick screamed and squeezed his eyes shut. I stood my ground, not moving an inch. Just as the blade was a hair's breadth from my scalp, I calmly remarked, "Are swords just made with such shoddy quality these days?" Crack! A sharp snap. The intimidating broadsword broke in half. The Ghost King. He stood there, frozen mid-swing, clutching half a hilt. Those 2 pinpricks of crimson light flashed frantically, betraying his utter disbelief. I reached out, took the broken half of the sword from his hand, and tapped it. See? What did I tell you? I said, the metal's all rusty, and you're still swinging it around? Your safety awareness is terrible. I tossed the broken blade to the floor. Then I kicked him in the knee. Thud! The mighty Black Mountain Ghost King, just like that, dropped to one knee before me. I patted his face. All right, what was that line again? I said, kneel, right? I smiled. Now, I'm giving you a chance to rephrase. Or, you could always sing Sweet Caroline for me. I'll even keep time. The Black Mountain Ghost King knelt there, completely dumbstruck. He'd probably been a ghost for centuries and never encountered anything like this. The dark energy around him seemed to dissipate slightly where I'd kicked him. You, what exactly are you? For the first time, his voice held a hint of fear. I'm someone you don't want to mess with, I said, crouching down to meet his gaze. Now, I ask, you answer. First, why are you here? The Ghost King hesitated. I raised my hand, feigning a flick to his forehead. He flinched, then quickly spoke. Someone summoned me from Black Mountain. Who? I don't know his name. He wore a black robe, his face hidden. He gave me a blood jade and told me to feed on the vital essence of the living here, in this karaoke bar to help him forge a dark artifact. Blood jade? Dark artifact? My eyebrow twitched. Things were starting to get interesting. This wasn't just a simple haunting. There was something bigger going on. Where's the blood jade? The Ghost King fumbled nervously inside his armor, pulling out a blood-red jade pendant. Eerie runes were carved into it, emanating wisps of dark energy. I took it, gave a quick look. Crude workmanship. 1 star. I applied a little pressure. Snap! The blood jade crumbled into dust in my palm. The Ghost King coughed up a plume of black smoke, his entire spectral form dimming. The blood jade was clearly linked to his essence. My blood jade, he wailed, heartbroken. Stop complaining, I said, standing up and dust in my hands. Second question, where is this black-robed person? I don't know. He always appears out of nowhere and vanishes just as suddenly. Right. It seemed I wouldn't get anything more out of him. I looked at the now half-powerless Ghost King, a little vexed. Exorcising him felt like a waste, being a Ghost King and all, but keeping him around didn't seem particularly useful either. Just then, my phone rang again. I picked it up. It was an unfamiliar number. Hello, who's this? A clear, anxious female voice came from the other end. Is this Master Ethan Miller? I saw your information online. Please, you have to help me. I paused. Online? Would I put my info online? I barely even bothered with Facebook. It was a TikTok. Someone posted a video of you just now, dealing with that ghost. It's trending one. Question mark. I turned my head, looking at the security camera in the corner. Its red light blinked steadily. Then I glanced at Rick, who had woken up and was now on the verge of fainting again. Well, look at that, a full, unedited live stream. I opened the TikTok app. Trending one was chillest Grubhub guy ever. KTV showdown with a ghost. I tapped on it, and there it was, the part where I ordered takeout and flicked the ghost's forehead. The footage was a bit shaky, clearly from Rick being terrified, but everything was captured. The comments section was exploding. Holy crap, those special effects are insane. Which studio's promo is this? The lead actor is hot. I need all his info. Dying laughing, ordering Grubhub in front of Ghost. What kind of wizardry is this? Don't be naive, guys. This is totally staged. But it's a great script followed. I rubbed my forehead, feeling a headache coming on. What was all this? The girl on the phone continued. Master, I know you're the real deal. That video isn't special effects. Please, I'm in trouble too. It's at Starlight Studios in West City. Our film crew. It's haunted. No, I flatly refused. I'm busy eating my spicy Szechuan beef. Master, the price is negotiable. 100,000. No, 200,000. Just please come. The girl's voice was tearful. 200,000? My hand, which had been halfway to my ear, froze. I looked at the shattered blood jade on the floor, then at the kneeling Ghost King. I felt like I just found my new money-making scheme. Address, I said succinctly. Studio 3, Building A, Starlight Studios. We're all here. Be right there. I hung up. Then I kicked the Ghost King in the ass. Up you go, no more kneeling. The Ghost King looked at me, utterly bewildered. I pointed at him. From now on, you're with me. I gave him a new name. Reggie King. You'll be my special effects supervisor and part-time chauffeur. The Ghost King, now Reggie King, looked even more confused. A special effects supervisor? Yep. I pointed to the door. Come on, time for work. First assignment, drive me to Starlight Studios. If you try to run, I'll flush you down the toilet. I threatened. Reggie King shivered, scrambling to his feet. Rick finally recovered enough to speak. Master Ethan, you're recruiting a Ghost King as your personal assistant. His worldview had been thoroughly annihilated tonight. I ignored him, walked to the door, paused, and looked back. Rick, I won't sue you for invasion of privacy over that video. I added, and don't forget to wire that 50,000 to my account. Also, leave a 5-star review, thanks. With that, I strode out of the karaoke bar, my new special effects supervisor, Reggie King, floating dutifully behind me. Rick was left alone, utterly bewildered in the cold night air. Starlight Studios. Even in the dead of night, it was brightly lit. I sat in Reggie King's spectral limo, feeling pretty cool. The car wasn't solid, just a mass of black mist, floating a few inches off the ground. It was fast, no traffic or red lights to worry about. Just a little taxing on Reggie. Reggie floated ahead, looking like a hood ornament, his face distorted by the wind. We arrived at the entrance of Studio 3, Building A. A young girl in a puffy jacket, her hair in a ponytail, was anxiously pacing back and forth. When she saw us, mostly me, emerge from the black mist, she startled, then her eyes lit up. "Master Ethan?" I nodded. "Got the money ready?" The girl was Chloe Chun, a newcomer actress and the lead in this production. My question caught her off guard for a second. Then she quickly nodded. "Yes, ready. Master, please come in." The studio was packed. The director, cinematographers, lighting crew, set designers. All of them looked stressed, huddled together, smoking. When Chloe let me in, all eyes were on me. A guy in a baseball cap, who I assumed was the director, walked over. He looked me up and down, his eyes full of skepticism. "Chloe, this is the expert you found," he said, clearly unimpressed. "He looks like a college student fresh out of film school." Chloe looked embarrassed. "Director Jones, don't let Master Ethan's age fool you. He's incredibly capable." She handed him her phone, showing him the TikTok video. Director Jones watched it, his brow furrowing deeper. "Ridiculous. He's just some TikTok influencer making silly videos. We're in a crisis here, and you bring in an influencer to make things worse." I scratched my ear. "Hey, director, right?" I said. "My time is valuable. Either you pay me now, and I leave, or you shut your mouth and let me work." Director Jones stiffened, his face flushing. "You, Director Jones, just let him try. We're out of options." Chloe urged. "Fine," he huffed, waving a dismissive hand. "I'd like to see what kind of stunt this influencer can pull." I ignored him and began to survey the studio. Inside, an elaborate, gilded ancient palace set was constructed, all carved wood and rich tapestries. And yet, a faint, undeniable trace of dark energy permeated the entire space. It was stronger than at the karaoke bar, but weaker than Reggie King. Just a small-time entity, nothing major. "So, how's it haunted?" I asked Chloe. Chloe's face was pale. It's just that whenever we film night scenes, things always go wrong." She shivered. Either the lights suddenly cut out, or the cameras catch blurry white shadows. Just now, during my crying scene, I was getting into character, and I suddenly felt someone breathe cold air on my ear. And then she said what? She said my crying was too fake, and she'd teach me how to do it right. This ghost, quite dedicated, isn't she? A real drama addict. And then I screamed, terrified, and everyone saw it on the monitor. Behind me, there was the shadow of a woman in ancient costume. Chloe was trembling as she spoke. I nodded, understanding. "All right, no big deal." I walked to the center of the set and cleared my throat. "Hey, whoever's in there, come on out and let's chat." The entire studio fell silent. Only the faint hum of machinery could be heard. Director Jones scoffed from the sidelines, playing make-believe. I ignored him and called out again. "I'm giving you 3 seconds. If you don't come out, I swear I'll set this entire studio on fire." I'm a man of my word. The moment I finished speaking, one of the huge overhead lights suddenly began to violently shake. Then, bang, it exploded. Glass shards rained down. The crew screamed. A white shadow slowly floated down from the rafters. It was a female ghost, wearing a luxurious period gown, looking like an ancient queen or royal consort. She was quite beautiful, but her face was stark white, her eyes filled with a deep, lingering sorrow. "Who dares disturb my solitary rest?" she spoke, her voice ethereal, carrying a slight echo. Good acting, great vocal delivery. The crew had never seen anything like it. They all scrambled backward, the more timid ones whispering Hail Marys. Director Jones also clamped his mouth shut, his face pale, but still trying to act tough, thinking this was just more special effects. The ghost seemed quite pleased with her entrance. She floated in front of me, looking down with an air of superiority. "Mortal, why do you not kneel before my presence?" I pulled out my phone, snapped a photo of her, click. Then I opened a face filter app, one-tap photo editor. Good base, but the dark circles are a bit much. Let's smooth the skin, add a filter. I showed her the retouched photo. "See? Doesn't that look much more photogenic?" "The ghost," She stared at her fair-skinned, beautiful, ethereal self on the phone screen, deep in thought. It did look better than her current state. What? What kind of magic trick is this? It's a face filter. Never seen one. I put my phone away. All right, what kind of ghost are you? And why are you lingering here? The ghost snapped out of her daze and resumed her regal posture. I am Empress Elena, consort of a forgotten dynasty. I died unjustly, my sorrow keeping me bound to this place for a century. Oh, Empress Elena, I nodded. So, when you said you wanted to teach Chloe how to act, what did you mean by that? Trying to launch a career? Empress Elena's face actually flushed a little. I adored theater in life. I simply found the girls acting rather lacking, and I couldn't help but offer a few pointers. Her voice grew softer. I saw you filming here, such a lively scene. I want to try it too. I finally understood. This wasn't some malevolent spirit. It was just a century-old theater buff, seeing a film crew at work and getting the drama bug. After all that, she was just a wannabe reality TV star ghost. I rubbed my forehead. Man, my life is exhausting. Why are ghosts so unprofessional these days? You want to act? I looked at the coy Empress Elena ghost, feeling like a whole new world of possibilities had just opened up. Empress Elena nodded, a hint of yearning in her eyes. Can I? Before I could reply, Director Jones couldn't hold it in anymore. Act? Act what? Some random TikTok influencer with some unknown special effect, spewing nonsense in my studio. He clearly still didn't believe she was a real ghost, thinking I just brought in an actress and some clever projection. Security? Where's security? Get these two con artists out of here. At his shout, Empress Elena was not pleased. She was a royal consort in life, pampered and adored, and a century as the resident top dog after death had not mellowed her temper. Insolent! What inferior being dares to shout at my presence? She glared, and a chilling gust of wind blew Director Jones off his feet, sending him sprawling onto the ground. Director Jones was completely flummoxed. He distinctly felt the icy cold wind, and it wasn't from an air conditioner or a fan. It was real, a truly freezing wind. He looked at Empress Elena again, and his eyes finally filled with terror. Oh, a real ghost. I walked over and patted Empress Elena's shoulder. See, here's your chance. I pointed at Director Jones, who was still sitting on the ground. He's a director. What you need to do now is use your acting to win him over. Empress Elena Pozud. How do I win him over? Just tap into that power you just showed, I said, and began to direct her. You are a queen, banished to the dungeon, and you've suddenly come face to face with a traitor who wronged you. I explained. Your emotions need layers. First layer, shock. It's you. Second layer, fury. You treacherous villain. Third layer, despair. What did I ever do to deserve this? All right, ready? Action. Empress Elena truly immersed herself. Her gaze, fixed on Director Jones, transformed instantly. That look of venomous hatred, profound anguish, and bitter resentment was absolutely textbook. It's you. She floated 2 steps forward, pointing at Director Jones, her voice trembling. You faithless traitor. Finally, 2 streams of blood tears welled from her eyes. My king, what did I ever do wrong? The performance, the raw power. Not just Director Jones, even I was impressed. Chloe stood beside me, jaw dropped, her mouth wide enough to fit an apple. The rest of the crew held their breath, unable to tell if they were watching an incredible scene or a real-life horror movie. Cut, I called out. Empress Elena instantly broke character, returning to her slightly shy demeanor, looking at me expectantly. And Master, how was my acting? Not bad. Room for improvement, I critiqued. Then I looked at Director Jones. Director, do you think she's qualified to act now? Director Jones scrambled to his feet, not even bothering to brush the dirt off his clothes. He rushed over to me in 3 strides and, thud, dropped to his knees. Master, you're a miracle worker. You're the savior of our production. He clung to my leg, snot and tears streaming. Master, please, let this. Empress Elena, stay with our crew. I'll expand her role. I'll make her the co-lead. His ability to switch gears that fast. He should be an actor himself. Empress Elena, hearing she could be the co-lead, spun around in delight. Chloe rushed over too, her eyes sparkling with adoration. Master Ethan, you're amazing. You don't just hunt ghosts, you can direct actors too. I cleared my throat, pulling my leg free from Director Jones's grasp. Ahem, just basic skills. I looked at the fawning director. Expanding her role is fine, and co-lead works. But we need to discuss her compensation. I rubbed my fingers together. She, Empress Elena, is my contracted artist. Her salary needs to go through me. Director Jones didn't hesitate. Absolutely. Of course. Master, name your price. I held up 5 fingers. 50,000. Director Jones didn't even blink. No problem. I'll have accounting transfer it to you immediately. He now looked at Empress Elena as if she were a walking, talking Oscar statue. And just like that, the deal was happily struck. The film crew not only got rid of their ghost problem, but also snagged a talented co-lead actress. Everyone was thrilled. I looked at the text message confirming the $50,000 deposit, feeling great. This money was getting easier and easier to make, though my staff seemed to be growing. 1 special effects supervisor and part-time chauffeur. 1 newly signed actress. I wondered if I should just start an entertainment company. I even had a name for it. Netherworld Entertainment, Dark Realm Productions. Sounds pretty badass. Ever since I signed Empress Elena, my reputation at the studios had absolutely exploded. Not as a paranormal expert, mind you, but as a super agent. Everyone said my artists had raw, natural talent, with an icy aura all their own. The only quirks were that they never showed up for daytime events and only did night shoots. The mystery factor was off the charts. Director Jones's show, thanks to Empress Elena's addition, was a massive hit. Her portrayal of the vengeful queen sparked huge discussions online. Empress Elena's piercing stare and breakout New Actress of the Year were trending for days. My bank account balance swelled right along with it. One day, I was lounging in my rented apartment, directing Reggie King to give me a shoulder massage. The Ghost King's technique was powerful, a spectral massage that was surprisingly invigorating. My phone rang. It was Rick. Master Ethan, help me. The moment I answered, I was met with his familiar pig squeal. I impatiently scratched my ear. Now, what? Your toilet haunted too? No, Master. This time it's people from the Mystics Guild who came looking for you. Mystics Guild? I vaguely remembered them. Some loose alliance of occult practitioners in this era. Few had real power. Most were just con artists and frauds, hyping each other up to inflate their prices. Why are they looking for you? They said I hired a maverick like you, that I ruined their reputation and violated their rules. They want me to hand you over to them, to face their judgment. Rick's voice was trembling. They're in my study right now. The leader, some guy called Grandmaster Thorne, is terrifying. He slammed his hand on the table, and the table smoked. I chuckled. The table smoked? Probably just some phosphorus powder hidden in his sleeve. Those are tricks I retired millennia ago. Master Ethan, please hurry. They said if you don't come, they'll get nasty with me. Address. I uttered 2 words. It wasn't that I wanted a medal, but these charlatans scamming people under the guise of mysticism were an annoyance. And daring to cause trouble for Ethan Miller? They had a death wish. Rick's opulent mansion. When I arrived, the study was packed. Figures in flowing robes and traditional jackets, all trying to look important. Leading them was a corpulent man with a ruddy face. That must be Grandmaster Thorne. He sat there, cradling a teacup, an arrogant smirk on his face. I kicked the door open. Bang! All eyes turned to me. Who's that? So disrespectful. A lanky, weaselly man, Stanley, jumped to his feet, pointing. I ignored him, walked straight to Grandmaster Thorne, and pulled up a chair. I'm Ethan Miller, I said. Heard you were looking for me. Grandmaster Thorne narrowed his eyes, scrutinizing me. So you're the one playing make-believe in the karaoke bar, scamming Mr. Hayes out of 50 grand. His voice was laced with an air of superiority. I chuckled. I didn't scam him. My service is honest, reliable, and 5-star rated. I gestured to Rick, who was cowering in the corner. Grandmaster Thorne slammed his teacup onto the table. Oomph. Insolent brat. Daring to spout such nonsense here, he sneered. Do you know the consequences of defiling the reputation of our Mystics Guild? Consequences? Are you offering me tea? I picked up the teacup in front of him and took a sip. Good tea, but your brewing method is off. Too much heat in your technique. The moment I finished speaking, sizzle. A small flame suddenly shot out of Grandmaster Thorn's sleeve. He jumped, frantically patting it. But the more he patted, the larger the flame grew, burning a hole in his expensive silk robe. Oh dear. Grandmaster, what act is this? Your pocket fire trick? I said with feigned astonishment. The other masters present watched, utterly dumbfounded. They knew Grandmaster Thorn's tricks. That little phosphorus magic was just to scare amateurs. But now, the fire was actually burning, and it wouldn't go out? Grandmaster Thorn was a mix of shock and rage, his face turning beet red. In the end, it was quick-thinking Rick who grabbed a teapot and doused him, finally extinguishing the flames. Grandmaster Thorn's arm was bright red and singed. He glared at me, his eyes filled with venom, and a hint of fear. As sorcery. What sorcery did you use? I set the teacup down and stood. I told you, too much heat in your technique. I swept my gaze across the assembled masters. I didn't come here today for tea, I said. I came to set some ground rules. I walked over to Stanley, the weaselly man. You just said I was disrespectful. I reached out and lightly flicked the top of his head. Stanley's eyes rolled back, and he stiffly fainted. I then walked to another elder, Silas, who was feigning meditation. I see a dark shadow over your brow, a nasty accident in your near future. The words had barely left my mouth when 2 streams of blood trickled from the old man's nose. The entire study fell silent. Everyone stared at me as if I were a monster. Their petty parlor tricks were like kids' party tricks compared to me. They finally realized that I wasn't from their world. I walked back to the head of the table, placing my foot on the chair. From today forward, I run the show for the Mystics Guild in this city. I challenged. Who's with me? Who's against me? Grandmaster Thorn, clutching his arm, his face shifting colors. The masters around him wouldn't even dare to raise their heads. I waited 3 seconds. No one spoke. Excellent. I nodded, satisfied. Looks like we're all cultured individuals who prefer to resolve things amicably. I pointed to the door. Now get out. And don't let me catch you using the guise of mysticism to scam people again. I warned. Otherwise, the consequences won't be as simple as a nosebleed. The so-called masters, as if granted a pardon, scrambled out, tripping over each other. Grandmaster Thorn was the last to leave. He shot me a venomous look over his shoulder, as if to say, you haven't seen the last of me. I didn't care. I'd seen his type countless times. Once everyone was gone, Rick finally dared to approach. And Master Ethan, you just antagonized the Mystics Guild. He was almost in tears. I patted his shoulder. Don't worry, I said. That wasn't a Mystics Guild. That was a charlatan tea party. I'm just doing my part, cleaning up the market. After dealing with the Mystics Guild charlatans, I figured I'd get a few days of peace. But the very next day, Chloe called me in a panic. Master Ethan, it's terrible. Empress Elena. She's gone missing. My brow furrowed. Missing? How can a ghost go missing? Did someone exorcise her? No. Last night, after filming, Empress Elena said she wanted to explore the studios on her own, so we let her be. But this morning, we couldn't reach her. I even burned paper offerings for her, but she didn't reply. Chloe was practically in tears. Empress Elena was the production's golden goose now. If she was gone, the whole show would collapse. I did a quick psychic scan. It was a good thing I did. I almost laughed. Empress Elena's soul wasn't dispersed. It was simply confined by a familiar energy. The aura of that power. I knew it. It was Grandmaster Thorn. Well, can't beat me. So he kidnaps my employee? What kind of preschool-level revenge is this? All right, don't panic. I reassured Chloe. I know where she is. You guys keep filming. I'll bring her back to you tonight. I hung up, then kicked Reggie King, who was napping at my feet. Reggie had completely adapted to his role as special effects supervisor, often transforming into a black cat to sleep by my feet when not working. Wake up, time for work. Reggie groggily shifted into human form. Boss, another job? Yep. I quickly explained the situation. Hearing it, the Ghost King's temper flared. The nerve! A mere mortal sorcerer dares to mess with someone from Netherworld Entertainment? Boss, I'll go crush him. What's the rush? I wave him off. We've got nothing better to do. Let's play with him a little. Come on, take me to Grandmaster Thorn. Reggie King closed his eyes, since for a moment then pointed east. Boss, he's in an abandoned factory on the outskirts of the city. Let's go. The abandoned factory reeked of rust. When Reggie King and I arrived, Grandmaster Thorn was standing in the center of the factory floor, a smug look on his face. In front of him was a ritual circle drawn in red chalk. Empress Elena was trapped at its center, unable to move. Her ghostly essence was being siphoned away by the array, feeding into a dark banner flag at its core. That banner, wreathed in black mist, was clearly no good. Several of my old acquaintances from the Tea Party stood nearby, their eyes filled with vengeful glee as they watched me. "Ethan Miller, you're finally here." Grandmaster Thorn laughed maniacally when he saw me. "I've been waiting for you." My hands in my pockets, I strolled over. "I gotta ask, you're this old, and you're still playing abduction games? A bit childish, don't you think?" I glanced at the array, a soul-binding array, trying to forge a 100 souls banner. "With you pathetic amateurs." Grandmaster Thorn's laughter faltered. He hadn't expected me to see through his plan so quickly. "Umph." Still defiant, even facing death. He pointed at Empress Elena. "This female ghost, with her immense resentment, is the perfect vessel for the banner. Once I finish forging the 100 souls banner, you'll be the first I sacrifice." He sneered. "Today I'll show you what true Mystics Guild orthodoxy looks like." I sighed. Ignorance truly is bliss. I turned to Reggie King. "Reggie, see that? That's what they call professionalism. And then there's you, a ghost king, with no decent artifacts, just sleeping around as a cat all day. Aren't you ashamed?" Reggie King looked utterly innocent. "Boss, I don't need that stuff." Grandmaster Thorn's face flushed with anger, listening to our conversation. You dare ignore me." He roared, activating the array. The circle flared crimson, and Empress Elena let out a pained groan. "Boss." Reggie King looked worried. "All right, enough playing around." I stretched. "Reggie, I got a task for you." "Name it, boss." "Go, pull out that banner for me." I pointed to the 100 souls banner at the array's center. Grandmaster Thorn heard this and laughed even more maniacally. "Ha ha ha, let him pull it. You clearly don't know that this 100 souls banner kills mortals on contact and disperses spirits." He pointed at Reggie King. "That thing beside you, it's a ghost, isn't it? Let him touch it. It'll just add more fuel to my banner." Reggie King looked at me. I nodded. "Go ahead. Show him what our company's special effects supervisor can really do." Reggie King grinned. "You got it." He swaggered towards the array. Grandmaster Thorn and his cronies watched Reggie King with expressions that said, "What an idiot." They waited for him to be torn apart by the array's power. Reggie King took one step, then another, into the soul-binding array. Nothing happened. The array's light seemed to have no effect on him whatsoever. Grandmaster Thorn's smile froze on his face. How is this possible?" Reggie King took 2 more steps, arriving in front of the 100 souls banner. That banner, which had absorbed countless dark energies, quivered before Reggie King like a scared chicken. The black mist around it noticeably receded. Reggie King reached out and grabbed the flagpole. Then, in front of everyone, he pulled upward. Pop! Like pulling a radish. He yanked the 100 souls banner right out of the array's center. He even shook off some dust from it, looking disdainful. What a cheap piece of junk. Poor craftsmanship. Then, with both hands, he exerted force. Tear! The 100 souls banner, on which Grandmaster Thorn had placed so much hope, was ripped in half. Grandmaster Thorn coughed up a gush of black blood, spraying 10 feet, and fell backward, stiff as a board. His cronies were scared witless, turning to run. I calmly said, "Running? Did I say you could run?" Reggie King tossed the torn fabric aside, a savage grin spreading across his face. The aura of a true ghost king instantly enveloped the entire factory. The charlatan's legs buckled, and they all dropped to their knees. I walked over to Grandmaster Thorn, looking down at him. "Now, tell me, who represents the true Mystics Guild?" The abandoned factory was a wreck. Grandmaster Thorn and his cronies were all hog-tied by Reggie King and piled into a corner, shaking like leaves, not daring to utter a sound. Reggie King deactivated the array, and Empress Elena floated out. She was a bit depleted, her spectral form a little faint, but otherwise unharmed. "Thank you, boss, for saving me," she said, curtsying gracefully. "It's all right, we're family. No need to be so formal. I waved a hand. Just be careful out there. Not every kidnapper is this incompetent. Empress Elena nodded, glancing nervously at Grand Master Thorn in the corner. I walked over to the pile of charlatans, crouched down, and patted Grand Master Thorn's face. All right, how are we going to settle this? Grand Master Thorn had lost all his bluster. He had personally watched Reggie King rip the 100 Souls banner apart. That feeling, it was like a kid with a slingshot encountering a man driving a tank. The difference in their leagues was staggering. And Master, no, boss. Boss, I messed up. I was blind. Please spare my miserable life. He was crying, snot and tears streaming down his face. Spare you? I chuckled. I'm not much for fighting and killing. I prefer to solve problems in a civilized manner. I stood, clearing my throat. Given that you've collectively, and with premeditation, kidnapped one of my company's employees, causing significant economic and emotional damages to Netherworld Entertainment, I announced, I've decided to give you a chance at redemption. I pulled out my phone, bringing up a document I'd prepared earlier. This is the employment contract for Netherworld Entertainment, LLC. I pointed at them. From today, you are all interns at my company. 3-month internship, no salary, but room and board are covered. Your job? You'll be sparring partners, assistants, and extras for the artists under our company's wing. Grand Master Thorn and the others stared blankly. These masters, were going to be assistants to a female ghost? What? Not willing. I glanced at Reggie King. Reggie was quick to pick up on my cue, instantly bending a steel pipe in his hands. Willing. So willing. We are 1,000 times willing. Grand Master Thorn was the first to blurt out. To serve your company, boss, is a blessing we've earned over lifetimes. Excellent. I nodded, satisfied. Sign here. I handed them the phone, letting them each press their fingerprints. Electronically, of course. And so Netherworld Entertainment welcomed its first batch of voluntarily employed staff. The company's makeshift crew was officially assembled. CEO and super agent, Ethan Miller. Special effects, supervisor and head of security, Reggie King. Star actress, Empress Elena. Interns, Grand Master Thorn and his crew of charlatans. I led my staff back to the city in style. I rented an entire floor in an office building. Using the money Rick had wired me, I did a quick renovation. The next day, the Netherworld Entertainment LLC sign was hung. Gold lettering on a black background, looking appropriately ominous. On the company's first day, I held an all-hands meeting. I sat in my boss's chair, looking at the ghosts, humans, and a bunch of half-baked sorcerers standing before me, feeling like it was all a little surreal. Comrades, today marks a historic moment for Netherworld Entertainment. I declaimed, mimicking the big-shot CEOs I'd seen on TV. Our goal is to build the most influential pan-entertainment group across the human, spectral, and divine realms. Our motto is, create killer and ghostly content with passion, shine with dedication, and a little brute force. Reggie King and Empress Elena dutifully applauded. Grand Master Thorn and his crew had no choice but to clap along, grinning on the outside but muttering under their breath. All right, now for work assignments. I pointed at Grand Master Thorn. You'll be responsible for logistics and security. Also, figure out how to use your little tricks to create some stage special effects. I pointed at the others. You'll follow Empress Elena, act as her assistants, and run lines. Anyone caught slacking off, I'll have Reggie King give you spectral acupuncture. The interns' faces all went white. With the work assignment set, I felt my life had reached a new level. From a freelance paranormal expert who debated adding a hot dog to his ramen, to a powerful CEO with his own company. This feeling, it wasn't bad. Just as I was basking in the glorious fantasy of my promotion and rising salary, the company receptionist, Stanley, the lanky guy I'd managed to talk into the job, burst in, flustered. "B-boss, it's bad," he stammered. "Outside, there's a group of people saying they're from a Special Affairs Bureau. They want to shut down our company." The Special Affairs Bureau? I paused. What was that? Sounded like a government agency? Outside my company, a line of people in black uniforms stood. Leading them was a young man, 25 or 26, with a sharp crew cut and piercing eyes. Beside him was a familiar face. It was Michael, the serious young mystic I'd run into at the abandoned hospital. "Mister," Miller, we meet again, Michael said, his expression complex when he saw me. The young man with the crew cut looked at me with a stern gaze. You're Ethan Miller, owner of Netherworld Entertainment? He flashed an ID card. We are from the National Special Affairs Bureau. We suspect your company of illegal assembly and harboring high-risk spiritual entities. We request your cooperation in our investigation. His voice was clear and precise, carrying an undeniable authority. I chuckled. Harboring? My dear fellow, your choice of words is rather unfriendly. We're a legitimate entertainment company. Reggie King and Empress Elena are our contracted artists. We have contracts. I pulled up the electronic contracts, including the ones Grandmaster Thorne and his crew had signed, and showed them to him. The crew-cut young man glanced at them, his mouth twitching. Stop being difficult, he snapped. The entity behind you, according to our energy scans, is a ghost king-level spirit, and the woman is a century-old, vengeful spirit. He continued, according to the Paranormal Entities Act, Chapter 3, Section 7, these are all S-class targets that must be neutralized or contained. Act. I scratched my ear. Sorry, never heard of it. I shrugged. Besides, who says a ghost king can't be a special effects supervisor, or a vengeful spirit can't be an actress? I added, this sounds like species discrimination to me. I'll sue you. The crew-cut young man was visibly infuriated by my twisted logic. Ethan Miller, I'm warning you. This isn't a joke, he demanded. Immediately dissolve this illegal company and surrender all entities. Otherwise, we will take coercive measures. He waved a hand, and the black-clad agents behind him all drew, something that looked like taser guns from their belts. But instead of electric arcs, the tips of the guns glowed with silver runes, specialized weapons designed for spiritual entities. Before I could say anything, Reggie King stepped forward. He unleashed his Ghost King aura. Who dares to touch my boss? The black-clad agents, hit by the surge of power, all stumbled back, their faces paling. The crew-cut young man's eyes narrowed. He clearly hadn't expected Reggie King's presence to be so overwhelming. It really is a Ghost King. All units, prepare for engagement. It looked like a fight was about to break out. Then, Michael, the young mystic, suddenly stepped forward. Captain, wait a minute. He went over to the crew-cut young man and whispered something. My hearing is excellent, and I caught every word. This man, his power is unfathomable. Last time at the abandoned hospital, a class of Phantom Lord, he knocked it out with just a word. The ceiling caved in. The captain's face shifted through several expressions. He reevaluated me, his eyes now filled with gravity and suspicion. He clearly didn't believe it, but his team member's report couldn't be dismissed. I folded my arms, amused, watching them. Are you done discussing? Are we fighting or not? I said, if we are, let's make it quick. I have interviews with some new ghosts this afternoon. My schedule is packed. The captain was silent for a long moment, then finally took a deep breath. He holstered his weapon. Mr. Miller, he said, changing his tone, we may have a misunderstanding. He continued, your situation is unique. I need to report this to my superiors. But until I receive new directives, please ensure your entities are kept in check and do not cause any public panic in the city. He chickened out? How boring. I pursed my lips. Don't worry, I said. We're a legitimate, law-abiding company. As long as no one bothers us, we won't bother anyone else. The captain nodded, then turned and left with his team, efficiently and without further delay. Michael, the young mystic, was the last to leave. He looked back at me, shook his head with a complex expression, as if to say, you're on your own. After they left, everyone in the company finally let out a sigh of relief. Grandmaster Thorne muttered under his breath, Boss, you even dared to sass a government official? So what if they're government? I waved a dismissive hand. In my eyes, there's no difference. They're all just potential clients. That being said, I knew perfectly well. This Special Affairs Bureau probably wouldn't just let things go. More trouble was likely ahead. But so what? If it faced verse. I've been alive for centuries. What kind of storms haven't I weathered? A small government organization isn't going to turn my world upside down. My only concern was that their compensation might not match my worth. After the Special Affairs Bureau left, life returned to a peaceful rhythm. My daily routine consisted of sipping tea, watching Empress Elena's latest film footage, and occasionally using Reggie King's intimidating aura for corporate culture training with Grandmaster Thorne and his crew. The company's business was booming. Some brave little ghosts even came knocking, hoping to sign on and make their debut. Netherworld Entertainment had firmly established itself as the leading paranormal enterprise in the city. One day, I was playing poker in my office when an unexpected visitor arrived. It was Captain Vance, the crew-cut captain from the Special Affairs Bureau. This time, he wasn't in uniform. He was alone and dressed in plain clothes. "Mr. Miller," he began, getting straight to the point. "My name is Vance, and I head the Special Affairs Bureau's 9th Action Group." "Oh, Captain Vance," I said, without looking up, slamming down 4 aces. "Full house. Get to the point. Don't make me lose this hand." Captain Vance's mouth twitched again. He still seemed to be struggling to adapt to my unconventional style. "We've encountered a very complex case and require your assistance." He reached into his briefcase, pulled out a file, and placed it on my desk. I glanced at it. The file was marked top secret. It contained several blurry photographs taken in a remote, heavily wooded mountain range, depicting what looked like an ancient altar. Around the altar, numerous black-robed figures appeared to be conducting some sort of ritual. The accompanying documents described a series of strange disappearances. All the missing individuals were people born under specific astrological alignments. Cult sacrifice? I felt a flicker of interest. Using live human sacrifice to summon an evil god? What era is this, still playing such retro games? Captain Vance's expression was grim. "We've investigated. The organization calls itself the Gate of Eternity. They worship an ancient entity they call the Eldritch God, Xylos." He explained, "According to our intelligence, they're preparing for an unprecedented ritual of divine manifestation. The location is Black Wind Gorge, as shown in the photos. If the ritual succeeds, the consequences would be catastrophic. It could open a dimensional rift, releasing entities beyond our ability to handle. So, I tossed my cards, winning this hand. Your Special Affairs Bureau, with all those people and state funding, can't handle a simple cult." A flicker of helplessness and gravity crossed Captain Vance's face. "We sent 3 teams in, and they've all gone silent." He continued, "Blackwind Gorge has an extremely powerful energy field. All our modern equipment fails there. And it's not just cultists holed up inside." He pointed to a sketch in the file. It was a monster drawn based on survivor descriptions. Gnashing teeth, clad in bone armor, looking like something clawed straight out of hell. "We suspect the Gate of Eternities has successfully summoned some of the Eldritch God's minions." He explained, "These things are far beyond the scope of ordinary spiritual entities. Our people are virtually powerless against them." I understood. They were outmatched and remembered me, the unofficial personnel. "All right, what do you want from me?" "For me to go on a suicide mission." Captain Vance took a deep breath, straightened his posture, and saluted me solemnly. "Mr. Miller, I'm not asking as a Special Affairs Bureau team leader, but as a concerned citizen, I request your help." He continued, "This operation is a near-suicide mission. We won't force you, but if you're willing to intervene, the nation will reward you generously if you succeed." He pulled out another document from his bag. "These are the terms specially approved by command. If you agree, you and your company will receive official recognition, becoming our special consultants. In this city, all your future actions will be facilitated. Additionally, there's a $10 million bonus." $10 million? And an official government designation? These terms were pretty tempting. From now on, any trouble I stirred up would be with a license. I stroked my chin, feigning deep thought, but internally I was already ecstatic. Minions of an Eldritch God? Sounds like fun. I've been getting antsy lately. Blackwind Gorge, you say? I stood up, stretching. "When do we leave?" A flash of light sparked in Captain Vance's eyes. You agree." He seemed surprised by my quick acceptance. "Duh." I shot him a look. "It's a $10 million job. Only an idiot would turn it down." I continued. "Besides, what's our company motto?" I said with a straight face. "Maintaining peace across the human, spectral, and divine realms? That's Netherworld Entertainment's solemn duty." Captain Vance looked a little bewildered by my sudden surge of righteousness. He was probably still wondering how the sarcastic jerk from a few days ago had suddenly transformed into a beacon of justice. I didn't care what he thought. I walked to the office door and yelled out, "Reggie King, Empress Elena, Grandmaster Thorn, all of you, get in here for a meeting." The company just landed a huge project. We're going on a team-building retreat. Blackwind Gorge. Chilling winds howled, and the air felt thick with a spectral presence. Caution tape stretched across the valley's entrance, where the Special Affairs Bureau had set up a temporary command post. Dozens of heavily armed agents in black uniforms stood by, their expressions grim. My Netherworld Entertainment team-building squad, and I swaggered right up. I led the way, dressed in casual clothes. Reggie King followed behind me, carrying a folding stool. Empress Elena held a parasol, though she didn't fear the sun. Grandmaster Thorn and the other interns trailed behind, laden with backpacks full of snacks and drinks. Our cheerful demeanor starkly contrasted with the tense, somber atmosphere. Anyone observing would have thought we were off for a picnic. Captain Vance waited for us at the entrance, his eye twitching again at our gear. "Mr. Miller, what is all this?" "Team building, of course," I said, as if it were obvious. "Fighting a boss this fun?" "Naturally. The whole company has to participate." I explained, "It's called fostering team cohesion. You wouldn't understand." Captain Vance, he had clearly given up trying to reason with me. He pointed into the depths of the gorge. "According to our last signal, the Gate of Eternity's altar is located at the very center of the valley. It'll take about 3 hours to trek in from here." He added, "The magnetic field in the gorge is chaotic, so communications will be cut off. And there are many unclean things inside." He handed me an energy detector. "This is our latest model. It can detect high-energy spiritual activity. If the needle goes off the charts, you've encountered an extremely dangerous target." I took it, weighing it in my hand. "Got it." I turned and waved to my employees. "All right, team. Move out. Objective: defeat the Archdemon and split $10 million. "Oh." Grandmaster Thorn and his crew responded with a weary groan. The moment we stepped into the gorge, the light around us dimmed instantly. The air was thick with the scent of blood and decay. Strange noises occasionally echoed from the trees. The energy detector's needle began to twitch wildly. Grandmaster Thorn and the others blanched, sticking close behind me. Only Reggie King, Empress Elena, and I strolled along as if we were in our own backyard. "Boss, this place is quite the dark energy. Feels more comfortable than my old home in Black Mountain," Reggie King remarked. Good air quality, high negative ion count," I nodded. "We've been walking for about half an hour." Suddenly, several dark figures burst from the trees ahead. There were people in ragged clothes, their eyes blood red, moving like zombies. These were the first missing persons, now mindless monsters. They snarled and lunged at us. Captain Vance's teams probably got wiped out by things like these. But to me, they were just low-level minions. I didn't even bother moving. "Thorn, showtime," I called out. "Let them see the results of your recent corporate culture training." "Yes, boss." Grandmaster Thorn was now a mix of respect and fear towards me. He bravely stepped forward, pulling a stack of parchment talismans from his pocket. These weren't his old con artist tricks. These were Ghost King talismans that I'd had him soak in Reggie King's aura for 49 days. Their power was decent enough to deal with these small fry. Lightning and flame by my command. "Begone." Grandmaster Thorn threw the talismans forward. Several streaks of black lightning shot from the paper, accurately striking the monsters. The creatures shrieked, instantly turning to ashes. Grandmaster Thorn himself stared, dumbfounded. He'd never imagined he could wield such authentic magic in his lifetime. The look in his eyes became even more worshipful. With the small fries dealt with, we continued onward. The deeper we went, the stronger the monsters we encountered. From walking corpses at first, to later evil spirits and bone demons. But it didn't matter. In front of Reggie King, a genuine ghost king, these so-called Eldritch Gods minions were like paper cutouts. Reggie King didn't even need to move. Simply releasing his Ghost King aura was enough to send the monsters scrambling away in terror. Our team-building exercise had turned into an armed scenic tour. Grandmaster Thorn and his crew led the way, happily flinging talismans, thoroughly enjoying their master act. Reggie King, Empress Elena, and I follow behind, snacking and chatting. Finally, we reach the center of the gorge. A massive altar, constructed from bone and black stone, appeared before us. On the altar, dozens of black-robed figures chanted around a blood pool. In the center of the blood pool, a huge vortex of black mist and raw flesh was slowly forming. A nauseatingly malevolent aura emanated from the vortex. The ritual of divine manifestation had reached its critical moment. The high priest, leading the ritual, noticed us. He turned, and beneath his hood was a face covered in bizarre runes. "Who are you? How dare you trespass on the sacred ground of the Gate of Eternity?" I crushed the empty soda can in my hand and tossed it into a nearby trash bag. "Hello, Neighborhood Watch, here to deliver some community feedback." I pointed at them. "You've got a legal gathering here, disturbing the peace with all that chanting and littering all over the place." I gestured at the scattered bones. "Seriously impacts property values." I continued, "Now I, representing the moon, no, representing Netherworld Entertainment, declare you all under arrest." The high priest paused, then burst into maniacal laughter. "Ignorant mortals, you will soon witness the true power of the eldritch god, Xylos," he shrieked. "The ritual cannot be stopped." He raised his hands, and the vortex in the blood pool suddenly widened. A massive, scaly claw emerged from the swirling mass. The entire gorge trembled under its terrifying power. My employees' faces all changed. Even Reggie King looked uncharacteristically serious. "Boss, this thing, it looks pretty powerful." I grinned. "Powerful," I said. "Perfect. A good opportunity to test our company's latest research and development." I slowly pulled a smartphone from my pocket. I had spent a full day and night combining modern tech with ancient runes, custom making it for Reggie King. I called it the Spectral Jukebox. I tossed the phone to Reggie King. "Reggie, play them our company's hit single." I instructed. "Empress Elena's latest track, Thriller, Empress Elena's Spectral Remix." Reggie King caught the phone and pressed play. It's close to midnight, and something evil's lurking in the dark. The pulsating electronic beats, combined with Empress Elena's unique voice as a century-old vengeful spirit, instantly blasted through the entire gorge. That infectious melody seemed to carry a mysterious power. The eldritch god's minion, which had just extended its claw, ready to rampage, suddenly froze. Its enormous head emerged from the vortex. Its monstrous face bore an expression of confusion. Then, under the incredulous gazes of everyone, including the high priest, that terrifying entity from another dimension actually started to sway to the rhythm of the music. I snapped my fingers. "See that?" I said. "That's called corporate culture. We conquer with music." The high priest watched his summoned eldritch god maniacally dancing on the altar, then coughed up a gush of black blood and promptly fainted. This team-building exercise was a resounding success. Not only did we maintain global peace, but we also successfully showcased our corporate culture. $10 million secured. I could already picture Netherworld Entertainment ringing the bell on the stock exchange. Life, truly, was getting more and more interesting.